Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome back to our Little Nightmares character concept series. So in today's video we'll be going into a different character, and this character's name is Puppet. So we'll be going into this creepy puppet and their location, their gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. Once again, today's character was designed by myself, and with these characters that I design, I try to follow the Jafer-esque kind of design that he did with the other characters as well. Jafer really did pave the way for this series, and I don't think my artwork will ever be as good as his, but I hope you guys enjoy it nonetheless. In the comment section as well, we've also had a couple of viewers suggest a puppet or a puppeteer-like character, so we thought we'd do our own spin on it. As always, I will just state that these are just a couple of our own ideas. We don't expect Bandai Namco or Tarsier Studios to really take these ideas, nor do we expect them to actually make a game out of them, whether it's Little Nightmares 3 or a DLC for Little Nightmares 2. Like always, these are just some fun ideas, and we hope you guys enjoy the story that we're about to tell. And lastly, before we start today's video, if you could please consider leaving a like and commenting, as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Also, be sure to subscribe to GamerTube, as in a couple of weeks' time we will be doing a special subscriber-only live stream where me and the community will be making our own Little Nightmares character, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty, well, let's get into this strange and creepy puppet. So in a previous video we were introduced to the Painter. The Painter was a creepy and sinister artist that had the ability to gaze into the future and paint whatever she saw. In that video, our protagonist, the Kind Child, stumbled into the Painter's home. They were fascinated by all the paintings on the walls and had never seen anything like them before. After unlocking the main gallery room in the middle of the house, the Kind Child met the Painter. After surviving and defeating the Painter, the Kind Child gained the ability to also gaze briefly into the future. With this ability, the Kind Child was able to help out all their fellow orphans in times of need. Now the Kind Child has appeared in a few of these concept videos before. So, just so everything is clear, I'll briefly go through their timeline and where they've been throughout these stories. They first freed the Trouble Child from their room in the orphanage when it was under attack by the Exterminator. After the Exterminator, they parted ways and the Kind Child travelled to the abandoned neighbourhood. That's where they tracked down the postman and found an old friend they were looking for. After surviving the postman and finding their new friend, they then survived the encounter with the Painter. Then with their new ability they gained from the Painter at the end of that video, they also helped out the twins in the mall. After they headed to the mall and helped out the twins, they then decided to head back to the neighbourhood to find another home to live in. On their way back, they managed to help out the poor child who was under attack by the vicious diver by closing the shutters and giving them some food. After all that, the Kind Child finally returned once again to the abandoned neighbourhood where they originally tried to find a place to live. The last time they were in this neighbourhood, they defeated the Painter, but they thought it would be best to live in another house. After all, how could they stay in that strange place with the stunned Painter still standing in place? But what the Kind Child didn't realise is that there was something far worse than the Painter. In a panic, the Kind Child awakens in a fright. They had the strangest nightmare. They've been having quite a few nightmares ever since they acquired the Painter's ability. The Kind Child doesn't really know how to control this power. It just tends to come and go as it pleases. As they wake up in their newly found house, they hear the front door slam open. It appears someone has entered their home. The Kind Child rushes down from the attic to investigate. They peer down from upstairs, but they don't seem to see anything. All the lights are out and it appears that no one is home. They walk down the steps to see who's lurking around their home. The Kind Child can't seem to hear a thing, until all of a sudden they hear a strange sound. They've never heard a sound like this. Just before they realise what the sound truly is, a shadowy figure emerges behind them from the darkness. The Kind Child senses a dark presence behind them and quickly hides. As they hide, they get a glimpse of this mysterious intruder. It appears to be some sort of puppet. This puppet has a wooden arm, a wooden leg, but their other limbs seem to belong to them. This strange puppet appears to be wearing a sack over its head with 2 zippers for its eye holes. But from the looks of it, they seem to be zipped up. The child isn't sure if it can see, but it seems to navigate around the house perfectly fine. This puppet is searching for something, but what? The strange puppet heads off in the other direction. The child takes this opportunity to run to the front door to escape. When they reach the front door, they soon realise that it's been tied up with what looks like string. The door seems impossible to open. The child glances over to the windows and they too appear to be tied shut. They decide to head to the living room to see if there's another way out. As they enter the living room, they once again hear that strange wooden sound. Then, all of a sudden, the room grows darker and their body starts to tense up. They look back and see the strange puppet on the other side of the room. As the creepy puppet advances towards them, they feel their arms raise up almost like they've been tied with an invisible string. In this gameplay segment, the player would have to try their best to move forward out of Puppet's radius. The closer Puppet gets, the harder it is to move. If they get too close, all the player's limbs will be controlled by the string and raised up in the air as a puppet. As the kind child tries to fight Puppet's straining force, they grab onto a side table. The side table falls over, causing the lamp on top to fall over and switch on, pointing a beam of light in Puppet's direction. The force from Puppet immediately stops as they quickly avoid the beam of light and escape to the next room. The kind child soon realises that this strange puppet's weakness is light. The kind child now has a new weapon to use against the deranged puppet. The only problem is the lamp needs to be plugged in. Whenever the kind child finds himself face to face with this puppet, they'll need to plug in the lamp and use it against them. The weapon would be limited in its range as they would only have a couple of meters of wire. If the player moves too far, they would accidentally unplug the cord. With the lamp equipped on their back, they set out to find another exit. As they pass the front door, they notice that it's covered in less string than it was before. It appears the more they harm Puppet with the light, the more the string untangles itself. It's clear to the kind child that in order to escape the house, they need to take on this sinister puppet. As they explore the house, they come across the basement. Whilst they stare into the darkness, they come up with a plan. The kind child would gather up all the lamps and lights in the house and make a trap down in the basement for this evil puppet to walk into. In this gameplay segment, the kind child would go room to room looking for any lamps or light sources they gather up and bring down to the basement. The first room they come across is the child's room. At the end of this room, they see a plug-in nightlight. As they go to grab the nightlight, they walk past a large pile of stuffed toys. The whole room seems to be covered in toys of all sorts. Just as they walk past the pile of stuffed toys, they feel their body tensen up again. As they look behind them, the puppet bursts out of the pile of stuffed toys and creepily moves towards them. The kind child struggles to move as they try to walk towards the nightlight with all their might. Just as Puppet goes to grab the child, they just reach the switch and flick on the nightlight. The children's nightlight shines brightly as Puppet panics and quickly leaves the room. The kind child can move once more. They grab the nightlight and venture onwards towards the next room. They now find themselves in the main bedroom. Up on the nightstand is another lamp they can use. This time the lamp is on and it's lighting most of the room. At least Puppet wouldn't be able to enter this room with this lamp on. They climb up on the bed to make it over to the nightstand to retrieve the lamp. As they walk on the bed, all of a sudden Puppet's wooden hand rips through the mattress and tries to grab the child. It appears Puppet has been hiding under the bed to avoid the light. In this gameplay segment, the player would have to dodge Puppet's hands as they tear through the mattress and try to reach for the player. As the child reaches the stand, they grab the lamp and jump off with it. They land on the ground and point the lamp underneath the bed to harm this persistent puppet. But when they shine the light, there's no trace of them anywhere underneath the bed. They now make their way down to the basement to set up their trap. They follow the steps down into the darkness. When they reach the basement, they quickly plug in all the light sources into all the different wall plugs. The kind child plugs in the last lamp as they equip it ready to shine at Puppet. They stand next to the breaker box ready to flick the switch to power on all the lights. The trap was set. As they wait, they hear Puppet making their way downstairs. The room has grown much darker than it did before. The kind child can sense that Puppet is in the room with them. They then hear the sound of zippers being unzipped. All of a sudden, two large red glowing eyes stare right at them. The kind child's body once again freezes up. It feels like many more strings are being tied around them this time. The intensity of the glowing red eyes is much more powerful. The kind child starts to float in the air as the red glowing eyes come closer and closer. The kind child feels every muscle in their body tensen up as they start to freeze. With their last amount of strength, they let go of the lamp, which falls to the ground and hits the lever of the breaker box. All of a sudden, all the lights turn on as Puppet is surrounded on all sides by searing light. The kind child grabs their lamp and points it towards Puppet as they panic and struggle in the bright lights. Just as the lamp's cord has reached its end, Puppet's red glowing eyes explode in a burst of red light. Their body suddenly collapses and falls to the ground. The kind child looks up at the basement window and sees the strings have disappeared. Their plan has worked. They finally defeated the evil Puppet just like they defeated the painter. As they walk over to the steps, they hear a door creak open behind them. All of a sudden, Puppet's wooden hand has grabbed the kind child. In one swift movement, Puppet's lifeless body gets dragged through the door along with the kind child. It slowly closes as the kind child has been taken through the door.
Alright everyone, that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like and commenting down below. Also, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube so you don't miss that special subscriber-only livestream. Also, comment down below what you thought of today's character, and also what you think's gonna happen to the kind child. Is this the end of them, or will they return in another video? Alright everyone, well, thanks for watching, and until the next video, I'll catch you later. Bye.